Is good now. So this session we're going to be looking at spiritual alignment, and this is going to be another block we are placing on top of uh, gratitude and positivity that we discussed about yesterday. You know, it's important that we dive into spiritual dimension, which is one of the critical dimensions of life. And you will observe today that if any dimension is most important for me, I think is the spiritual dimension, because I've come to realize that every other thing in life, as we all know it, is governed first in the spiritual realm, in the spiritual dimension. So, how much of alignment you have at that realm would determine basically your trajectory, is going to determine how much you are able to establish some kind of governance within other dimensions of your life. Tomorrow we're going to talk about balance, and then you'll see, having established this block to build the balance block, you see that it's become pretty easier, kind of. So we'll see how this alignment is going to enhance your chances of fulfillment, okay? Because life is a risk. I'm sure you remember that very well, right? The fact that life is a risk is the chances that you would not succeed is there, okay? Because you have the threats, you have the negativity, you have all those pressures that are going to militate against you for you not to succeed. So there's a chance that you're going to fail in life. And there's also probability that you are going to succeed. So how then do you lay hold, relentlessly lay hold of ensuring that what you are going to focus on is the positive? What you're going to lay hold of and focus on is the probability of your success, is what this spiritual alignment talks about, right? Because you have to, first of all, take control of things at that realm before you begin to see them in both non-physical and physical aspect of our lives. Okay, so let me first of all talk about the nature of man. So maybe you're going to be seeing yourself in a new dimension today. Every human being is made by God, whichever God you believe in, but science has proven it. I remember when I was doing some studies on scientificism, some of the early proponents of some principles about scientificism later came to realize, I don't want to mention names because it's on record. You can go and do your research, uh, find out some of these things I'm telling you. Some of them eventually came to realize that there has to be a force and a greater power behind creation of all things. So it's not just about the Big Bang theory of evolution of man. It's not just about the the natural precedent of things. Like philosophers, argued out, about scientific nature of creation and evolution of man. So it's been proven, unequivocally proven, that man, you and I, as we are tripartite. We are made up of tripartite nature. Okay, our life as it is made up of three parts. And the earlier, the better you understand that, the good it is for you to be able to manage your life and govern yourself properly. Okay, because this speaks to three levels of human governance. You have the first part, the tripartite nature of human being. You have the first part that is called the body. The body. I mean, in Greek, this is called, or is it Hebrew now? This is called soma. This is called soma, Soma, soma. And what that means is it's talking about something that is made from clay, something that is made from uh, uh, um, destructible or uh, at the same time can be renewable but destructible elements of life, which narrowly infer to or refer to the soil or the clay. I'm sure that some of these knowledge you might have acquired them in one way or the other across your journey up until now. But I'm just trying to lay a foundation to some of the things we're going to dive in. So that's the first part of every human being. And that's why when someone dies, I mean, across all religions, even some even goes to the point of doing cremation. But normally they will have to ensure that they put the body of man in a place where it can then return back to its original state, except you preserve the decayed or the decaying body. Please follow me through. That part of us is something that we physically relate with. I mean, you have your skin, you can see it, you have your toes, your hands, all of these things, your eyes, your hair, all of these things are part of the element within the soma, the element within your body. I'm sure you still remember biology, where you talk about the five sense organs, the organ that helps you to see, the one that helps you to hear, the one that helps you to touch, the one that helps you to taste, the one that helps you to smell. And within these organs, you have some other sub-elements that makes up the functionality of each of these organs. Okay? You see the distribution of neurons, nerves, arteries, veins connecting to the heart, all of this stuff, they are there. That's the makeup of man from the perspective of Soma. Okay, then you move into the second path, the second level, which is our second nature, and that is soul. That's the soul of a man, the soul of man. And when you're talking about soul, the easy way to explain the soul of a man is human heart. Your human heart. I'm sure in biology, you remember how you drew the human heart, having those two divides of the heart. Then you have the arteries, you have the different veins that, as the blood is going through the arteries, the capillaries. I mean, all of these jargons that were taught in biology about the heart. So you see how this connects to human brain, which is now the engine room, is mainly the kind of the sensory computer that makes the heart to function. That's more like the central nervous system of this entire body that we're talking about, how the entire computer functions. So just see human body as a computer. How does it function? It doesn't work until, the central nervous system or the operating system, sorry, that's what I wanted to say. The operating system, is initiated, is activated, is honed, is put on. So that's the function that human heart does within the soul, right? And right there, because the brain function comes in, then you have the different part of the brain, which I explained some to us yesterday and also 2 days ago when we were talking about mindfulness, when I mentioned about the amygdala. There's so much that you can learn about human brain, which might be something that you have to go and do a refresher on, okay, to see different part of the brain and how each of them helps and enable you to live, a healthy life, okay? But what is more important to what we're discussing today has to do with three critical elements within, the human brain as it relates to the soul or human heart. The first one has to do with the mind, the second one has to do with the will, and the third has to do with the emotions. Please follow me carefully. So when you look at these three subjects, they all at play or they are all functioning within human soul. So you see how important the second part is. And that's what a lot of people, even sometimes when you neglect the body, because the body perishes, right? The body can decay, the body can be destroyed. If you don't take good care of your body, you see it might start smelling. You try it. No, don't wash your body in 2 days or 3 days. It becomes so sticky, all those algae or all those virus or microorganisms that is upon your skin start to form some kind of jelly. So, I mean, these are all the stuff that happens, on your body. But the soul, because the soul is non-physical. I mean, how do you hold on emotions? It's non-physical. How do you handle the will? How do you see the mind? Except through kinesis or all these other psychological principles, but they are not physical. They are non-physical. right? So many a times we tend to kind of like not give as much attention as we give to the body to these non-physical elements which makes up the soul or which are critical part of the soul. However, they have the role they play in your growth journey. They have, like we've talked about emotional intelligence, we talked about mindfulness, and of course, while discussing about all of this, we talked about how you make up your values, blah, 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 and all those stuff. So these are very, very important. Very, very important. Then you now move into the third part, which many a times people don't talk about. In fact, some of us might have never even given any cognizance to it at all. Yet, it's part of who you are. So you can imagine if you are to put this into percentage, at best, many people have only been living to third of who they really are. That's if they even have full knowledge of who they are. You have the knowledge of your body, so you take care of your body. You see all those manicure, pedicure, all those body treatment and all of that. Some even go to the point of changing, doing plastic surgery and all, just because they just want to take care of their body and have this kind of uh, uh, um, what's it called now? Immortal, what's it called now? Immortal outlook, to let them see that they are never going to get young. They are ever looking young, right? Just imagine if you take it a step further and move into the third path, which has to do with human spirit. Please follow me carefully. Human spirit. Human spirit, just like the soul, is also indestructible. I mean, there's nothing you can do to destroy the emotions of a man. It's just that you can suppress it, right? And anytime you are enlightened again or you're orientated, you are helped with some kind of psychotherapeutic elements and forces, you can reawaken those emotions. And then that's why I tell people there is nobody that cannot be changed except the devil himself. The only person, the person only need a new experiences and different encounters, right? If a madman that is mentally deranged, don't forget this is at the level of the soul, because that's where you have the mind, the heart, and all of that. If it can be cured, right? How much more someone who has been psychologically deranged in terms of, the level of intellectualism or some kind of indoctrination, such a person can also be re-indoctrinated or be reorientated. I remember studying about uh, the actions during the Third Reich. I mean, for some of us who are a student of history, you read about Adolf Hitler and what he did. The former USSR during that war, and what they did to the Jews. And in the course of that, the Third Reich, they had to take slaves from some part of the fallen USSR, those that didn't want to align with Adolf Hitler government and the soldiers and all of that. And they took them into Auschwitz camp, which is like a concentration camp. Guess what they did there in that concentration camp? They were brainwashing the Jewish or those that accepted certain beliefs that or core values that Adolf Hitler you know accepted, and also brainwash other people that is the cause of all the problem in the world. So his preoccupation is he wants to take off that mindset, he wants to take off that belief system from them and destroy the concept of their belief or the object of their belief. And the only way to do that is through brainwashing and, of course, utter destruction, like elimination, total denialation of the people, and eventually killed over 2 million Jews. Killed over 2 million Jews. But for those of us that are student of history, when you look back, this um, many years after, like many years after, you look back, you see that the question that he wanted to provide solution to, and the solution did not really solve the problem, rather aggravated it. Till now, they are still celebrating the annihilation of the Jews. I mean, just a few weeks ago, or was it last month, the Jews, Israel, they celebrated, this act. What am I saying? When you look at what happened in that Auschwitz camp, concentration camp, they were brainwashing They were brainwashing people, children, adults, men, women. And I remember when I was doing, was it geology? I mean, geography. I can't remember the particular course I took in my secondary school. And they wanted to explain the concept of, I think it's social studies. They wanted to explain the concept of brainwashing to us. The teacher then asks us to carry out this exercise. I'm sure maybe some of us have also heard about it. You know, we have to be, we have to make some repetitive statements for a period of time. For instance, when you are saying number one, titikoti, tikoti, number two, bagam, number one, titikoti, tikoti, number two, bagam, number three, titikoti, tikoti, number four, bagam, blah, 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 blah. I mean, you keep repeating that thing over and over and over again, the same statement over and over again. By the time you repeat it and get to a particular point in time, if they ask you to stop and ask for your name, you will have forgotten. That's the hallmark of brainwashing, right? You will have forgotten your name, you will have forgotten where you came from, you even forget totally about your environment. So that speaks to the part of man that can be controlled, recontrolled, calibrated, recalibrated, that we all need to be careful about. So if we need to govern our lives and direct our lives in a particular trajectory, we need to take cognizance of this aspect, because when we allow wrong influence to have impact on that aspect or that part of our lives, then we are going to be governed in such a way that we align with the values, we align with the standard of that major influence. And that's the reason why we now need, to look at the third path. We talked about the human spirit. What exactly is this human spirit about? It talks about the point of consciousness, the point of your intuition, the point of your awareness is the hallmark. We've been talking about self-awareness at the level of the soul, but when you're talking about transcendental awareness, it happens at the point of the spirit. Okay? It happens at the point of the spirit. And you and I, every human being, can attain to that level only if you have given it a thought, only if you have given it an attention. Okay? Where you become conscious about, number one, the power that is vested on you in nature. Then number two, the power that is vested on you through your belief system. And number three, the power that is vested on you through your value system. Number one, that is vested on you by nature. I mean, the fact that you are a human being. There are certain power, the law of nature, just like you have law of gravity and co. You also have it. I mean, you have the law that governs climate and all of that. Either the climate is changing or it's not changing. There are laws that govern all of this, which the creator of nature, of life as it is, put all these things in place so that there will be orderliness. So when you are conscious about this thing, that is a transcendental level that you can operate at. Then the second one is when you are conscious about the power that is vested in your belief system. I mean, have you ever wondered why someone believes in stone and he believes that when he prays to a stone, the stone hears his prayer? I mean, that's, for me, I mean, I see it as madness. I remember on one of my journeys many, many years ago, I had to tour around some kind of remote areas in Nigeria on a missionary trip just to engage, all these animists and co and all of that. And by the time I got to a place in Niger State, I got to meet some people. They call themselves the Dukawas. I don't know how many of us have heard about them. The Dukawas. They speak Dukanchi. I mean, this has been quite a long time now, so I can't remember, because before I left among them, spent about 2 weeks before I left there, I had to learn how to speak their language in basic communication and also interpret my name in their language, but I've forgotten all these things. It's just like back in school, studying business management and learning shorthand. I can't remember any of these things again, because they are not things I get to use on a daily basis, right? So right there, these people worship or they believe in scorpion, and they have altars that they set for scorpion. So it is a taboo for you to kill a scorpion. I'm trying to give you some level of consciousness when it comes to belief system. So when you see someone tells you, oh, I believe in this thing and it works for me, blah, 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 and all of that, it's a subtle consciousness. It's a subtle consciousness. However, you cannot deny the fact that the person has an experience on that consciousness. So you need to take it a step further for you to now validate the authenticity, because there can be some level of manipulation at this level because it's transcendental. Don't forget, as you have manipulation at the level of the soul, okay, people manipulate emotions, they manipulate will. God help you, you encounter someone that has a very high emotional intelligence and you are operating at a moderate or low level, they can easily manipulate you. And that is why you say, these people are gullible now. How come they are gullible? It's not because they are gullible, it's just the manifestation of the low EQ they have. So the same thing at the spirit realm, at the spirit dimension, at the spirit path, people can also be manipulated. So that's why you have to be careful, okay, on how you go about your belief system, okay? Then you also have the consciousness at the level, you have governed the consciousness through your belief system. Now you also have it at the level of your value system. What you have, remember we had an assignment on this where I told you to list out what you believe to be your value and all of that. There is a way this value is also going to govern your life and give you some level of perception, give you some level of consciousness about who you are, how you align with your personality, okay, which will not give you some level of deep conviction. So you need to be careful around this. That's why I always tell people the kind of value you embrace will determine the outlook of your life eventually, either consciously or unconsciously. Okay, because it has a way of shaping, values has a way of shaping yourself. When you see the cultural norms and belief system of a particular set of people within a geographical location, you can easily tell when you see them act outside. A very good example is when you see Igbos, they will tell you, oh, Igbos are very entrepreneurial people. Anywhere they go, they turn around the business landscape, blah, 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 and all of that. That is not just ordinary, right? It is not just ordinary. It's something that has to align with, consistently align with the consciousness at this level of the spirit path of this set of people, which has to do with their value system. You don't need to go to school. You don't need to, it's just the consciousness of the fact that this is our value system. Anywhere we are, we must, be productive. We must, engage, in such a way that we turn around things into economic value, right? So anywhere you put an Igbo man who is self-aware at this level, we always, in one way or the other, out of the blues, against all odds, emerge like that. Even if it's going to be out of crook and shame and all of that, they will, because that's the consciousness. So this is how powerful this part of human beings are. And that is why if anybody wants to do disservice to you, they will hide this path from you for you not to, manage your life at that level of consciousness. Okay, so the secret out of this is part of what I want to show us. And that's for you to see that this third part is because it's transcendental. Okay, transcendental in the sense that when you look at the closeness of the the 9 planets that we have to the sun, which one is the closest to the sun? The 9 planets. You have Mercury, Venus, Earth, Jupiter, Pluto, Saturn, Uranus. Which one is the closest to the sun? Anyone? Which of the 9 planets as we know it? I know we have more than 9 now that have been discovered, but let's stick to the 9. Which of the 9 planets is closest to the sun? Anyone? Saturn. I hear Mercury. Okay. More? Anyone? Do you all align with this? Okay, it's actually Mercury. It's actually Mercury. When you look at the planetary, the solar planetary system, the one that is closest is Mercury. It starts from Mercury, Venus, Earth. That's the way we're taught in geography. Mercury, Venus, Earth. Then you now end at number 9, Pluto. So Mercury, why I brought this up is, if you look at the intensity of the sun radiation in Mercury is higher than the one you see on Earth, which is the third closest. I mean, according to what we're taught in geography. Then by the time you're now getting to Pluto, it's almost like it's Eden, and maybe it's at a particular time, set of time, that you can really have a feel of the intensity of the sun and all of that. It's the same thing. It works in the spirit, right? The closer you move, your entire body, your soul, everything that is about you, the closer you move, consciously move towards the transcendental figure. Please follow me carefully, because this is the easiest way I feel I can share this principle and concept with you. And you see how I'm going to end the conversation. The closest you move to the transcendental figure, whoever you believe is the transcendental figure, the closest you move, either in fellowship, in communion, or in a search, because that's what many believers of any world religion will always tell you. They are in search of truth about that object, who that object is. Some will say in search of God, some will say in search of a creator, in search of this, blah, 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 and all of that. The closer you move to that reality, the more aware and the more conscious you are going to be about each of these things that I just mentioned to you. So just keep that in the cooler, and let's stay off from this tripartite nature. And let me now summarize everything I've said in this manner, that all other dimensions of your life find an eccentric value from your spiritual dimension. All, I don't know how many you've listed, but all dimensions of your life, they find an eccentric in the sense that the relevance, whatever you can achieve within those dimensions, must find a connect, must find a relevance with your spiritual dimension. If not, two things will happen. Number one, you will easily fall the whims and caprices. You'll fall victim of the manipulation that will naturally come, or the undue influences that naturally come from. Don't forget, my first statement, everything is first governed within this dimension. So if you're not operating or connected to that dimension, or any aspect of your life is not connected to that dimension, like we say, even if you think that you are self-aware at the level of the soul, there's still going to be a limitation, because you won't see beyond your emotion, you won't see beyond your will, you won't see beyond your mind. And there is limits to what your mind can see. In fact, we have not been able to use even up to above 1/3 of the capacity of human brain. So what happens to remaining 2/3? So that means if something can influence or get to overpower the 2/3 of your brain, they totally have control of your life. And that's how important the spiritual dimension is, the spirit dimension. So you need to see that connect. You need to see the way this work out. Okay. So how be it your health, you are looking at your emotional perspective or dimension. You are looking at your intellectual, your relationship, everything, everything must be deeply rooted or connected to your spiritual path. Okay. So let me now show you what this alignment means. Number one, the alignment means that you are aware at the highest level, and it comes from within. Okay. It's not the awareness that comes from outside, or it must be from within you, because the spirit within is the most powerful type of spirit. You have other types of spirits. I'm sure you know that. If you go to study more about spiritism, you'll see that other different types of spirits. So you need to be sure before you kind of connect with any kind of spirit. I'll be the one that comes from other inner spirit that comes from other people as it relates with them. You don't want those spirits to jump on you or influence you. I mean, when you hear of someone being overpowered, or someone being, there's a right word I'm looking for now. If I remember, I will mention it. You know, sorry?
Possessed.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. That's the right word. When you see someone being possessed, okay? So where does the spirit that possess and overpower or overshadow your spirit comes in, because you have a spirit and your spirit is being subdued for that foreign and strange spirit come within. I mean, all these things are not metaphysics. Trust me, they are just natural. They are natural path of you which you have not been able to realize. So you see this, and that's why you have to be first of all aware. For instance, when I'm in a midst within an horror, within a presence, when I'm within a human disposition and I see strange spirits manifesting, I know. I mean, not because it's because of my self-awareness, it's because of my inner awareness. I mean, when I see something that's contrary to my own spirit, I know. And this is the highest level of intuitiveness. We call it spiritual discernment. I know. And I know that no, if it's something I need to run away from because maybe I've not gotten to the level of having control, I quickly run away. And if it's something I know I have that level of understanding and the strength and the spiritual capability for me to be able to take control, I do. So another level is now for you to talk about how to take control. But the focus of this is just for us to talk about how you then align. You see that path? How do you align your soul and your body with your spirit? Is very, very important. Very, very important. Until you have gotten to that point in time, you can't talk about you having full control of yourself, because what you're going to be doing invariably is you are just having control of 66 or at best 67% of yourself. So what happens? And the last time I checked, even when you did emotional intelligence personality assessment on yourself, you see that at 70% you are not even doing well. You must get to 80-85% upwards, right? Because you must also have some level of control, within that spiritual realm. So just to give us an indication. Then the second one is the fact that your purpose is now not going to be just an ordinary purpose. I mean, I told you from the one, you have to explain what purpose is. Your purpose is then targeted towards, something that is transcendental. I'm trying to look for a simple way to break this down. Your purpose is not just about you having money on earth. Like, okay, I just have money and that's it. Like, I just want to get to the top of my career. I mean, foolishly, that's how some people believe that that's their purpose. So as long as they are pursuing the highest, the zenith of their career, they are okay. And some eventually will not even get there, right? What's the highest point in your career? Just think about it. Maybe becoming the president of your professional body, or becoming whatever it is. If you're in politics, maybe becoming the president of a nation and all of that. But that can't be the highest point of any purpose on earth, because it will be too plenary. It's going to be too ordinary, right? It's going to be at best at the level of the soul. It has to be something that is also transcendental, meaning that there is a big picture, there is a grand agenda, there is a grand purpose of which each of human purpose has to find relevance within. Okay, and that's why we now turn it to become your purpose being a mission. Your purpose being a mission that is going to align with the overall vision of creation. So let's put that also in one bucket. Then you now talk about the way you then begin to walk with the consciousness. And because this is what exactly the alignment talks about, the consciousness as it happens and as it manifests in the process of you making decisions, the process of you taking actions, the process of you disposing yourself to be influenced, rightly influenced or wrongly influenced, right? And some of these things work within you as a query, as a thought, as an argument within yourself, not necessarily because of what I am saying to you as an external influence or what someone else is going to tell you, but you just have this unrest within you sometimes. You understand? So it's a query that is trying to find an alignment for something that is transcendental. So this is exactly what spiritual alignment is. And anytime you have that kind of unrest, you really need help for you to be able to settle within yourself and find that logical, that transcendental explanation to why this kind of, unfortunately, I mean, many people have not been able to get the right answer, and that is why they even get more lost as time goes on. Why is this alignment very important? Number one, because you need to live a daily life in victory. Many people are living in total defeat, and you just need to engage and relate with them before you understand what I'm saying. Yes, they have money. Yes, they are achieving great milestones in their career. They have good relationship, but they are not just fulfilled because they are being defeated. They have struggles. Their lives are not enviable. In fact, you that you don't even have possessions and material things as much as they do, right? They even envy you. You see the dilemma of life. They envy you because there are certain appearances of defeat in their life. So how then can you overcome this defeat? It's not something that is, I mean, it's not a battle that you're going to fight on the plenary level. It's not something you fight within your soul. Otherwise, you will have won the battle. It's not something that you fight within your body and say, okay, maybe when I change the color of my skin, as many would do skin toning, or if you do plastic surgery and change your face and look like maybe you are looking like an African, then you look like an American, you look Caucasian, then, or you start tuning your voice and speak Queen English or speak Jamaican and all of that. Maybe that's when, no, not at all. Is this kind of alignment, spiritual alignment, that is going to give you the level of victory and fulfillment that you require in any of your pursuits? I mean, you don't want to really analyze those struggles for you to really realize that this is where the source of your defeat is coming from. You have done everything possible, you have pursued everything, but yet you still have that sense and experiences of defeat. This is where the issue is, because you need to get to this point transcendentally where you begin to connect from within to the real essence at this dimension. Okay. So, what are the signs of misalignment? I mean, I just mentioned about defeat now, which is just the quick symptom. Okay, you just discovered you are doing so many things, every possible thing. You've tried it. You thought maybe by the time you have first class, that's when everything will be settled within you. But yet you had first class. It's still the problem continues. In fact, you have many people with all the level of their intellectual attainment and all of that. They are not making progress in life. Okay, and they begin to wonder, is it that someone has cursed me? And sometimes, the manipulation in the spirit will even give them that kind of conviction or the consciousness that, oh, maybe it's something that is happening within their family because there's a trend and all of that. And then they begin to put the puzzle together and it's forming some kind of logical picture in their mind, and then they get fully manipulated and think that that is the problem. And some people will even start giving them some kind of way out and therapies that, oh, you need to consult this dubious, you need to go to this, you need to do that, and all of that. I mean, this kind of struggle, this kind of unrest, this kind of lack of peace, is an evidence that, and guess what? You don't necessarily have to, I mean, that's why it's about inner, yeah, it's within, okay, within your spirit, within your soul, within your body. It's not something that you have to seek and run helter skelter, jumping from one mountain to the other, from one location. Some will even think that by the time they move out of Nigeria and go elsewhere, that's when spirit is immortal, right? The same you, the same spirit you that was here on the shore of Nigeria is the same spirit you that will, your you will not change simply because you are now in another location. It's still the same you. Spirit does not recognize space. Okay, spirit doesn't recognize space. They are immaterial to the point that they don't just occupy space. They are not matter, so to speak. They are not matter, right? So that's the first thing. When you begin to see these nagging, trouble, worries, challenges, conflicts, defeat within yourself. If you have those feelings, then you know that it is serious misalignment that has not happened. Then you also have lack of fulfillment. You have done everything possible, like you have toiled all day, and you have never gotten to the end for you to rest. Okay, it's all about hustling. It's all about slow. Don't forget what I told you as part of my conviction, as part of my principles in life. I don't struggle, I don't hustle, You will never find it in my dictionary, you know. And I'm glad to tell you that if you believe strongly in this as part of your core values, it's going to work for you. Let me just quickly, because I remember so that I don't forget. I remember a few days ago when I was sharing with you about how one can bend situations in life because of your belief system and your core values and all of that. It happens today. Just a few hours ago, family were trying to, just take a time out, and I was like, this is late. Oh, I don't want to miss this class. Otherwise, it will be the second time I will almost going to be postponing or canceling the class. So I just like, okay, I mean, just within me, without even uttering any words, I just quickly, self-aware in my mind and then connected in the spirit and like, this is what I want. I said it to myself within myself. Nobody wasn't going to hear me. I mean, I wasn't speaking loud. I wasn't even muttering any words, but I consciously within my spirit, you know, spoke to the long traffic we saw when we were moving out. Like, and as I was speaking, my wife was just saying the same thing, almost the same thing. This thing is not funny. Just few hours ago, was almost saying the same thing. Like, oh, traffic, blah, blah, blah. Oh, she just makes some kind of statement like, as we're coming back, there won't be traffic, blah, 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 and all of that. As we got to where we went to, I just knew that, I mean, at this particular time, consciously, we need to leave that place and start heading back home. Normally, I mean, the right thing you want to do, especially if you have lived in Lagos, is you want to stay back to like around 10 before you start jumping back, because that's, around between 6 and 8 seems to be the peak period where traffic will have built up because of the late hours rush of people coming back from different places. I mean, from their different workplaces. But I just had within my mind that at this time, that is when we should start heading back home. So immediately that time now, I just told them, yeah, let's start going back home. Guess what? Immediately we jumped to the road. Till we got home, there was no single traffic. It looks like a deja vu to me, like as if I'd already seen the picture played in my mind and now manifest physically. See, you need to experience these things. I just gave you this one indication. I mean, it might happen to you. Maybe you're going to go and write exam, and maybe you've uttered certain deep convictions about certain things, and you just get there. Maybe you have a brain block, you can't just remember anything and all of that. And you just like, but this exam, I prepared for it. I can't fail, whatever it is. And at the end of the day, you just come out and you see that you passed. You can't even explain how you passed and all of that. All these things are not, they are not metaphysics. All these things are not things that are beyond the reasoning of humans who align spiritually, who understand how things operate in the spirit realm. So I just needed to give you, but when these things are not working in your favor, or when you have not connected and start to make use of these things in nature as you live on a daily basis, is what I call misalignment. So you will see the appearances of it as being unfulfillment. You start having unnecessary worries. Just imagine if I was caught up in that traffic, I would have just sent a message and tell everybody, oh, sorry, we can't just, or maybe we'll have to postpone again by maybe to like around 11 or 12, which will now, you know, kind of like demoralize everybody and all of that. But that's why we need to engage at this level, at this dimension, in order for us to be able to have a full day. Then the other one has to do with compromises. When you see the pattern in your life, when you consistently, or in an iterative way, you see signs of compromises, right? And how do compromise come in? Because you are easily influenced by other factors or other things or people who have higher command or stronger control of themselves, and then they can now influence you. I mean, we talked about this under emotional intelligence. It takes just between 10 to 15 minutes. I mean, someone with a very, very high Q, 5 minutes, have a conversation with someone you understand the best way to, I mean, the basic thing about the person you understand, and you can then use that premise to manipulate if care is not taken. So when you go to some people for counsel and they have high EQ and you see the way they bend and shape and mold you, you'll be surprised. All these things are not metaphysics. They are things that has to do with spiritual awareness and spiritual understanding. Once you have that alignment, and then you can take your EQ to a new level which is now in the spiritual dimension, where you can now begin to achieve greater value through the efforts you are making. Then, of course, we talk about disconnection. You easily get detached from yourself. Sometimes you don't just even know what is happening to you. You just see that you don't have this peace. You are worried. You're anxious. Any small thing, you're agitated. To make decisions is always very difficult. You take a long time to process things. I mean, these things are symptomatic. Okay, they are symptomatic of misalignment. Then you have this sense of insecurity. Okay, you just feel disposed each time you are within a sphere or you are connecting with people, right? You just feel this sense of inadequacies, right? Because you believe you don't really know so much about yourself or you don't have what it takes to operate at that level. It's also part of the reason why, because you don't need to have everything on earth for you to be able to be the best that you can be on earth. Let me quickly rush through this. So, what are the things then you need to look at or consider? I just have these few things. There are so many other things you can do, but just these four things I've evaluated, which I believe will help you to begin to move towards the path of creating alignment at the spiritual level. Number one is for you to build up faith. If the core values, I mean, your core belief system and your values are not grounded in faith, whatever your belief system is, right? You don't move to the point of having a deep conviction. That's what I summarize to be faith. Deep conviction. Deep conviction. What that means is whatever happens, even if the whole earth turned upside down, this conviction you've had, you are still going to hold on to it. If you have not gotten to that level, then it will be very, very difficult for you to, even if you make an alignment, for you to sustain that alignment, because you will always have trials. You are always going to have things that will come to kind of like pseudo redirect your focus at that level. In fact, the highest point of contention happens within the spiritual realm. That's why everything is governed from that point in view. And if you are able to live a victorious life at the spiritual dimension, every other part of your life will be pretty easier for you to attain victory and also attain success and achieve fulfillment. So the first thing you want to do is to lay the foundation of faith for yourself. What is going to be the basis of your value so that it doesn't keep changing? You have a set of value last year, then now you are putting within a new environment, you change your value. You see what is happening to those politicians who had never seen 1 billion before. Now they are seeing tens or hundreds of billions in naira or in dollars or pounds sterling, and yet they are misbehaving. It's because their value system, yet they have it. Some of them we even talk about their family value. Their father, their forefathers, and all of that. But how come it's not failing in their own lives? It's because those things are not premised. They are not built on deep convictions. They are not built on faith. So you need to, first of all, strengthen your faith. Then the second one has to do with, defining what the paradigm of this higher purpose is. I told you about the grand plan, because once you have a deep conviction, right, then you begin to understand where this big picture, I mean, what's going to be your transcendental assignment, your transcendental purpose, what exactly it is. You need to get hold of it. How much, to what extent do you need to use your talents, your giftings, your strength, your abilities? To what extent are you going to use it to create, you know, uh, uh, um, tangible and intangible legacies in the sand of time, for you to create indelible marks, indelible marks. And that is why I believe that if truly, right, if truly you have a higher purpose, if truly you know that you have a place in the grand agenda for the entire universe, then your manifestation, the way you pursue your goals, the way you even set your goals can never be local. They can't be localized. It's not possible. It can't be localized. You have to get to a point whereby you begin to think like Dangote on how to spread across different industries, on how to, I mean, when you look at all the people that operate at Fortune 500, this is how they think. This is how they think. The very first business they set up, they know that this is not just because they want to meet local needs. They are thinking global. They are thinking global across different part of the universe. And now some will even now think beyond our known universe into the unknown universe that they will discover. An example is Elon Musk, and reason why he's the richest man on earth. So the day you start seeing someone that will start thinking beyond him, at that transcendental level of how probably to start building something that will go beyond the space and in time, maybe. So I'm just saying this, that you need to connect with something that is bigger than you, not something that is limited within you. That's what higher purpose means. So your own purpose should be connected to something that through your faith you have been able to establish to be something that is grand and is bigger than you. Then once you have done that, the next thing is now for you to begin to all those little goals, the aspirations, your desire to form new habits, all those things, you now start aligning it with this grand. So for instance, now, if I know that I have an agenda for me to be able to conquer not just only Nigeria, I want to conquer the entire Africa, I want to conquer the entire world, what do you think will become the kind of set of behavior I'll start developing? Anybody? If I want to, my goal is in my business or anything I'm doing, my enterprises, my ventures, my connections, my networks, is not going to be local, it's going to be global, and global, not continental. It's going to be interterrestrial, it's going to be intercontinental. What do you think will become part of what I will start shaping within myself? Anybody? Anybody?
Your mindset, the way you think.
Sorry, I didn't get you. You can speak out.
Yeah, I said, I think it should start from your mind, your thinking, your reasoning.
Okay, yeah, correct. So that means the level of my thinking, my mindset will be different. Whereas my contemporaries, my friends, my colleagues, people around me are thinking at this level, I will be thinking at that level, right? So my mindset will be different. So you see why I tell you that this life is not in competition. So, how do you want to compete with people that are not seeing what you're seeing? Okay. So the only thing you need to do, because you need support groups. Wow, time is fast spent. You need support groups. You need people who will also enable you. And in the process of connecting to enable you, find that reading in order for you to be able to pursue at that level. They too will also be connecting and be finding their own relevance within the premise of your own purpose. So you see how this thing is. So now imagine if you are not even doing yours, you are not pursuing at that level. That means that you are disconnecting and disengaging some people that naturally the fulfillment of their own purpose is also connected to yours. If you understand what I mean. So it's important that when you are defining the pattern of your actions, the kind of habit, the attitude, all those things that we've talked about, you need to be mindful. You need to take cognizance of the fact that as you begin to take steps in that direction, there are people that you are also going to be dragging along. You are going to be drawing along. You don't want to fail, because your failure will automatically interpret into their own failure. Okay? It's just like when you shut down your company now, everybody is sacked. Everybody goes home. Everybody becomes jobless. That's exactly what it's going to be. Okay? So if you are not thinking at the level at which you're supposed to be thinking, if you are not growing at the level you're supposed to be growing, automatically you have stunted the growth of all those people whose purpose are attached to the fulfillment of your own purpose. Then the final one will be about the practice of mindfulness, of which I told you the one I usually do has to be meditation. So mindfulness practice is also one of the things that you can help. Oh, okay. Sorry. I think I mistakenly pressed something. It was telling me not to share. So mindfulness is one of the things that you can also embrace that will help you to achieve this alignment. Because the more you take attention of understanding more about the present, okay, and don't focus on what never worked in the past, you are not going to be distracted. Okay, all those things we talked about, the benefit of mindfulness, you are going to begin to see how that will channel you towards leveraging on the positives of spiritual alignment. So it's very, very important you're able to have a control of your life. You're going to be able to even have this, your spiritual discernment will be sharpened. Okay, it's going to be sharpened. Sometimes when you're practicing mindfulness, you begin to see the elevation in your spiritual discernment. You begin to see the level of your understanding, deeper understanding towards, getting deeper with your conviction. I mean, these are some of the things, and some of them can even come as a form of revelation. Okay, some of them can come as a form of revelations. Um, there was a day, I mean, this should be pre-COVID. I think it should be around 2019. I just had that feeling that there is something so supernatural about trees and leaves and flowers and all of that in their beauties and in their nature. So I just told one of my friends that I'm going to do a research, and I bought a camera, started taking pictures, started studying and looking at, all these things. And you need to come and see the level of inspiration I got as a result of just studying leaves and trees, those foliages of different types of trees. In fact, by the time I got back to begin to work on some of my projects, I started getting some design inspiration, you know, and I now had to go and study more about biomimicry. If you know what biomimicry means, in architectural design, when you begin to mimic biological elements in nature, you look at your ecology and ecosystem and you begin to mimic those things, either in form of animals or plants or non-living things and all of that. So this is one of the power of mindfulness. So you need to look at whatever it is that works for you or that you think you can embrace based on your belief system, based on your core values, which you have set. You need to work more on these things and see the consistency by which these things are going to play. There are quite a number of tools and practical tools you can lay on. Dr. Shade talked at the inception of this session about the journaling. You can build more about this. Some of the journals I used way back in 2000 and 2003, I still have them. I still reflect on them. I still make references. Some of those meditative plans I had, I've been able to build after about 12, 15, 20 years. I can look at those things and, be happy that, yes, I was able to keep track with some of. So journaling is going to help you keep track and help you to also refine the way by which you are going to operate at this level. Then gratitude, we discussed yesterday. I'm staying positive. It's also part of the things that you can use, to harness the kind of alignment you want. And these things are going to be built practically. If I told you something I've done for close to 2 decades or about 1.5 decades, you should see that it's about the consistency. It might not be something that will give you instantaneous results. There is no shortcuts. So you need to commit to continuous practice of these things. The way you meditate, the way you pray, the way you study to build yourself and increase your intellectual space, your knowledge, cut across, not just only focus on your own discipline. Like I told you now, the conversation today has cut across almost about 4 or 5 different disciplines. Talked about psychology, talked about medicine, talked about theology, talked about science, talked about art. I mean, that is what you need to do to be able to build that strong intellectual power within yourself, upon which you can now leverage on, for you to be able to find this kind of alignment. And finally, you also need the right community around yourself. Okay. The benefit of you being part of this program is the fact that you are within a community where you can learn, where you can observe, where you can also expose your knowledge to see beyond your current horizon and see that there is a higher height you can actually move to for you to be able to have a great essence. So in closing, I want you to understand that this spiritual alignment is something that you will progressively build upon. It's a journey, as this growth mindset is also a journey. So don't be discouraged if the first few months, depending on the level of attention you give to some of these steps I've shown and some other that you're going to self-realize, don't give up, because quitters never win and winners never quit. You need to stay put on those things consistently and see how those actions, those attributes, attitude, habits are going to build the strength of character of the spiritual alignment in you. Because until you have actually gotten to the point where you are conscious, when you are conscious of the fact that you are in control at the spirit realm, you are not truly in control. You just need to be placed within a real pressure of life and scenario before you know that you are truly not in control. But hey, the whole essence of life is for you to have full control of yourself. And you can be rest assured that everything that God has put in nature is meant to support you having charge and taking charge of things in order for you to be able to fulfill your purpose. And my desire is that you're going to fulfill your purpose. Whatever it is that you were created for, whatever it is that you have discovered that you need to do and achieve on earth, you will surely achieve it. Thank you. So I'm going to stop here and take some comments from us and take some kind of feedbacks, or if there are other perspectives you see to these things, or maybe you have also laid hold of this dimension and how you are already operating in this dimension. How do you think the spirit realm works? How do you control your spirit and don't allow other forces in the spiritual realm to wrongly influence you and misdirect your life, as it were? So feedbacks, comments, question. Comment, question. Please, I need us to ask question. I need us to ask question. I'm also here to learn. That's why it's about a personal journey. Okay, whatever it is, whatever level at which you are, you also want to share so that we kind of like learn. Wow, everybody's quiet. Okay, I guess I might have to leave us. There's going to be an assignment I'll give us today. Tomorrow, I will not give us an assignment. So again, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, I will leave those 3 days for us not to work on any assignments, so that I'll be able to do all the backlog of the assignments that you've had over this weeks. So please, those of you that have not been submitting your assignments, make sure you do. We have just 7 more days to go from the next few minutes. Please make sure you submit. This would have piled up a lot. And Dr. Ade has done fantastically well in pulling out all these up until about 2 days ago, all the assignments that I've given. So please make sure you create a checklist, and your habit tracking, start from there, how much attention you give some of these things. And when you keep repeating it, you see that it becomes part and parcel of you, and you can use that to govern every other areas of your life. I'm also a work in progress. I'm learning every day. I'm trying to improve on myself too. I know I've not attained, and that's why transcendental level, even in psychology, is the highest point any human can get to in terms of you forming a behavior or anything. So, and until you get there, you don't rest. So we are building progressively on ourselves on a daily basis. Okay, so I think any question was again, any comments, feedback? None. We'll meet tomorrow then. Okay, thank you. Catch tomorrow.